back. Wrapping up.
Certainly, just wondering if you had any update on Terry Wilson after coming out of the game on Sunday.
Yeah, still not looking good. We'll know probably later on this week, but not looking good.
I know you guys placed Malcolm Kunstone on IR last week, but you didn't have full details on his status. Do you have any more additional information on could he potentially come back this season?
Coons, as of right now, he's still out.
AP, as you watched the film and were able to analyze your offense, I know you're not going to tell us your state secrets, not asking for that, but were you able to identify the key areas that you felt that caused the struggle and how to correct it?
Yeah, I thought, interior O-line, short yardage football, missed opportunities. We crossed that 50 several times and didn't put any points on the board, but maybe, two times. The other ones just didn't go our way either, penalties, sacks, turnover, it just wasn't good enough. And, I think when our offense looks at it, it's, you always want to give credit to the other team, granted. But there's some self-inflicted wounds there that we obviously can fix and we can detail and fine-tune. We talked about that and went in depth, and then obviously, Raiders can't beat the Raiders when it comes down just to simple things, just doing those things better.
You talk about self-inflicted wounds. When you watch back the tape, take away those 2 turnovers from Gardner. How different do you think the game would be, and how much of an emphasis is that, going forward?
Yeah, I think you just have to look at the 2-minute drill right before the first half. 7-3 ball game. We're close. We're right there in field position, and we're thinking about doubling up, right? Scoring right before the end of half, scoring again when we get the ball. After halftime, a little momentum swift change there, but not gonna ever go back and reflect on that. It is what it is. We had opportunity still in that game to have a chance to win, and I thought Gardner, for the most part, handled the operations, the tempo, what we wanted to accomplish. But again, you got to establish a running game. You can't just sit there and just drop back and just let these guys tee off for our quarterback. We have to do a better job of establishing a run game.
You've talked about the difficulties of defending a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. How much discipline does that take, especially on the defensive line when you're rushing, not to over-rush and just be disciplined in that regard?
Yeah, it's going to take all 11 guys to do their job. You hear this all the time, but it's true. If you see our guys running up the field, running past the quarterback, just pack your bags. It's going to be a long day for the Raiders. We got to do a good job. When I played, we played against Vic. We called it cage rush, kind of keeping them in. You see Lamar, he has the ability to slither his way out of it, but it's very difficult. Think about the second level defenders and your DBs, right? They're 12 to 14 yards deep. All of a sudden, he steps up in the A and B gap. What do? You stay back in coverage, or do you go attack the quarterback? So, really critical up front that we are detailed and do our job and our assignment and what's actually in the game plan. More importantly, linebackers having vision, filling the routes around them. And our secondary, everybody's eyes got to be on 8, but also filling the routes around us.
Alexander Madison was one of the bright spots offensively. I know you've already praised him and you already knew he was going to be a part of your offense, but do you expect him to have a bigger role going forward?
Yeah, I think anybody can help us win a bigger role. But, to be honest, I thought Samir had some good stuff there, right? We had a penalty, we had a fumble, then he backed that up right after the fumble, another 8-yard run. Those are the kind of runs we expect, 16, 12-yard runs, 8-yard runs to get going. Alex, I thought did an outstanding job. More important, I know he had a great catch and hurdle, but just in pass pro. Very physical. He got the tough yards, so I've said before, whoever can help us win the hot hand, we'll roll with that.
I know it's been kind of a start-stop for Jackson Powers Johnson, but if he's able to get on the practice field this week, is there a chance that he could be out there on Sunday?
He can be active. I don't know, how many practices we had. But today he'll be out there in practice, so that's step one.
So I know you talked a lot in the preseason about the run defense needing to improve. And I know it was good in the first half against the Chargers, but you had some breakdowns in the second half. Moving forward, especially against a team like the Ravens, you mentioned Lamar Jackson, but also Derrick Henry. How important is that to get correct this week?
Yeah, 37 plus, 35 plus runs they had in the game, and 4 of them we fit up wrong. No, it's do your job each and every play, right? If you're a second level linebacker, fit the gap accordingly. If you're a D lineman, no jumping around playing peekaboo. It's critical, and then I think our team really understood that because late in the game you're down, guys are trying to make plays. You can't do that. Got to keep staying play. Team defense. Those are the good teams that play in the month of January and February, and that's what we're striving to do.
You mentioned the run game and how important that is to get going, but with that comes play action as well. How important is it going to be to take a couple shots to try to loosen things up a little?
Yeah, you can't have play action with a run game. That's what I'm gonna go back to. We got to establish the run. We got to get Zamir running, get going. We got to get Alex going. We got to get our O-line going. Right, the juice and the flow stars are those big boys. And I always say, when those guys are ripping and rolling and coming off the rock and finishing down the field, we're a good football team. And that obviously will open up our passing game, our play action, our keepers, our boots, everything else of that nature.
There wasn't a lot of 12 personnel last week. Was that because of matchups or because?
Say it one more time.
There wasn't a lot of 12 personnel last week. I think it's 15, 60 plays, 12 personnel, and something we talked about all preseason and since Powers was drafted. Is that a matchup thing, or what was the reason for not using 12 personnel?
Just the pride of the game, the way of the flow of the game, but it was some 12s and 13 in there as well. So, I mean, listen, we're fortunate we got some good skilled players across the board. Sometimes the way the game goes, you don't get enough snaps at a certain personnel group.
When you were talking about Lamar, you mentioned going against Vic as a player. How much does that experience for you as a player help carry over as a coach to prepare for a guy like this?
Huge. And then the division I played in, went up against Donovan McNabb each and every year, and that was always difficult. And Vic ends up with the Eagles towards the end of my career. So we talked about that in depth in the defensive staff room. I've had my conversation with the players. The good part about it, some of these guys have went up against a player like this just a few years ago when the Raiders played the Ravens in 2021, I believe. The key thing, like I said, man, it's just being disciplined. We're talking about one of the best football players in the National Football League. It's not going to take one guy, it's going to take all 11. It's going to take 60 minutes of doing it. I mean, we might do it right just like the other day, the entire game. And in the last 2 minutes, if we blow it, right? Nobody's going to talk about the other 58 minutes.
On top of Lamar Jackson, you also have Derrick Henry to contend with. How are you kind of preparing the team for that in terms of?
Yeah, big boy football. Strap it up. Like I said, hard hat mentality. Grab a couple of Advil from Chris in the training room. It's going to hurt.
Talk about wanting to establish the run. When you look at a linebacker like Roquan Smith, what do you see on tape that you really like about him?
Impressive. Love watching him play. Smart, intelligent, leader, tone setter. I mean, you can see the difference when he shipped over from when they made the trade from Chicago to Baltimore. It was like, wow, okay. Like now he's on Front Street. Now everybody can see who's probably the best football player in football, and especially when the linebackers. But I just love his intensity. I love how he tackles. I love how he breaks each and every play. You truly appreciate the linebacker play when you watch him.
You mentioned Tyree, you're monitoring his status this week. You guys Chase signed to the practice squad yesterday. What did you guys see in him that led to that?
I mean, there's a bunch of talent there. I think there's still some untapped talent there as well. He's 25 years old. And again, listen, we're battling with injuries at that position. Here's a guy that can help us. He's played a lot of football. He's experienced, and he has a little juice in his legs that we need right now.
You've been preaching about consistency in the preseason, and the offense just came out pretty disjointed, fits and starts to the first game. I'm wondering, are you going to take a different approach toward the first game of the year? Where was that a result of just the timing, the first game kind of thing, or did you see other issues going on in terms of the lack of consistency?
Like I said, I think it was a lot of self-inflicted stuff. I mean, to be honest, we only had one penalty on offense, and it hurt us. It was in the critical play where we got to the ball to the 35-yard line, and then there was just other ones where, we get the ball in plus 45, and we take back-to-back sacks, or we miss a read, or we have a turnover. So a lot of self-inflicted stuff. The timing can pick up. We can pick up our operation, our speed, obviously. But I will say this. I think we see it across the National Football League. A lot of teams in week one didn't look like they'll probably look the rest of the season. That's what we're banking on.
What were your impressions of the Broncos' first game?
Impressive. I thought, Butterflies is there. Young rookie, I don't care how much football you've played in SEC or anything like that. You go out there your first game, it's real, it's different. And you could just tell how he was. Once he got that first catch, he kind of came on the sideline, shook his mask right in front of us. Okay, then made a big play down the field later on. But I just think there's so much more there. Not just with Brock, but even with Big Mike. I thought they made some great catches. And what I love about both of them, really physical in the run game. They had some tough matchups going against Bosa and Mack and the things we're asking them to do, and they just shy away.
AP, there's an adage that most teams make their most improvement between game 1 and 2. Has that been something you've noticed over your career and something that you're looking for, obviously, forward to this week?
Yeah, because it's a wake-up call, right? Obviously, when you lose a game, everybody's self-reflection, one-on-one, right? We're in school right now. We're trying to figure out, what happened. You go back and look at your last Monday, Tuesday throughout the week. How can you get better? And I think as players, you do the same thing, You might think you're ready. You might thought you was prepared for something, but was you really? But I think for all of us as a staff, as we get to know each other, and again, year one, putting this whole bad boy together, quarterback, offensive coordinator, those guys gelling together. I mean, no excuses, but just 3 weeks ago we named Mitchell the starter. So there's still a lot of growth, man, there for us. We're not a finished product. We want to play our best football in December, but we better get off to a faster start if we need to in week 2.
This franchise is 1-7 its last 8 games on the East Coast. I guess what is your philosophy? What have you learned over your career that might help maybe with this trip? I know you were an East Coast guy as a player, so it's a little different for you, but what can you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, we try to speed up our clock like we're doing today. We woke up earlier, started our day at 6 o'clock in the morning, try to be on the same time as the the East Coast. So when we out to practice, it'll be around 11, and we'll shorten that down to about 10:30 on Friday. Just try to speed up our clock, get guys up, so when we get over there and Saturday at 4 p.m., you know, we kind of get on that East Coast clock. But at the end of the day, man, it's just get off to a fast start. I think for any team that travels on the road, I don't care if we just went one state over like we did last week to California, can't turn the ball over, got to play good red zone defense, and you got to be good on third down. So those things travel, and then obviously defense does travel, and we're banking on that as well.
You guys good?
Thanks,
Thank you.
AP.
Have a good one.